Hello and welcome to SideQuest episode number 49, a special Monday edition because it's on Monday.
Special Monday, yeah.
Special
That's like
Monday.
69 minus 20.
Yes, it is.
Which is irrelevant, frankly.
Thanks for keeping track on that.
Is 20 something to do with sex? Because we could make it work. 69 minus
something.
20?
Yeah, there's got to be something connected to 20, right?
Yeah. That's probably something like that.
Probably.
I mean, the internet can make it happen.
Well,
Right.
episode 49 is a special number because it's like the square of 7, and
Nerd.
I was trying to look up 49 facts, right? But then there's the number one fact is just rubbish. It's like it's a natural number that follows 48 and precedes 50. I'm like, well, that's not a great fact.
Well, there we go. That's why it is a special.
Who's
episode.
dropping fact bombs like that?
Although here's some, I might start doing this for every episode. I'm gonna begin it with number facts. So in chemistry, 49 is the atomic number of indium. So there you go. In astronomy, the Messier object. I don't mean it's messier than before, but apparently there's a Messier object M49. I don't know where this is going.
M49's a star or a galaxy, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that Andromeda?
Andromeda news on SideQuest.
It doesn't give me that much information to go on, you see. This Wikipedia entry is quite small. It just says Messier object. I'm like, okay, cool. I should probably have picked something better. But yeah.
So you messed up and you Googled it instead of going straight to Urban Dictionary where you know you're going to find the true definition of 49. And the definition on Urban Dictionary is when a man puts pop rocks inside a woman's vagina. And then I'm gonna just like skip the rest of it because this is a family show.
It is
episode 49 pop rock edition. Pop rocks.
That's the title of the show this week.
Yeah,
and then people will be like, why do they call it that? Yeah. And then they'll look it up, and then we have blessed the world with knowledge.
Now, speaking of surprising situations.
And pop rocks.
PlayStation 5 reveal technology of the Unreal Engine. Surprising, right?
Man.
Yeah.
The beginning of that demo, I was like, this looks just like a real life video recording.
It looks so good, right?
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
So Unreal Engine 5, they Epic demoed Unreal Engine 5. It's like they showed off like what the engine was capable of it, and during the demo they mentioned that it was running on a PlayStation 5.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks fantastic. Digital Foundry did an excellent video breaking down like all the different tech used inside of it to like actually like show why it looks so good.
Mm-hmm.
But to me what really stood out was just the detail. Especially like not only when you get close up, which in current games is when a lot of the detail can really break down because you got like really muddy textures, but also far away, and how when you moved, like there didn't seem to be a lot of pop-in, like changing of the textures, changing of the geometry.
Right.
It was just like the detail level was high far away, high close up, and didn't seem to transition dramatically in between the two. It was fantastic looking.
So they were talking this technology where they can stream the actual the vertices, the triangles that they need, so they can actually take like movie quality assets, supposedly anyways, movie quality assets they can put in there, and then it will create its own level of detail. Is that correct? Based on where it's being rendered. Yeah. And this is big for the industry, so they don't have to constantly make lower resolution versions of art assets. That takes up a lot of time to topologize stuff, So if this becomes a norm where they can make super high quality, high asset or high movie quality asset, and then just put it into games and have the engine figure out what level of detail to be able to give to the pixels, that's amazing.
It looked outstanding. In fact, they kind of had this like demo gameplay with this kind of Tomb Raider-ish girl kind of like exploring this like kind of desert looking rocky area. I would play that game. Like,
that's so cool, right?
Like I'm sold.
And then she started flying. Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like flying. Do you like flying? I like
flying.
Yeah.
She was
it's
going
like
to go in the portal.
Prince of Persia. And we need a we need a new Prince of Persia. Like give me that game.
Read
a movie quality
Prince of Persia games are so good.
Yeah.
When's the last time they made one of those? They were so fun.
Was it like 5,
I want to say
ago?
GameCube, wasn't it?
Really?
Or was it maybe? Was there? I mean, well, that was the last time that I played one. I don't know if there was one. Let me double check.
Yeah,
was it Heart of Darkness? Was the last one?
That was the one where you were being chased for like a long time, wasn't it?
Wasn't there was the OG Prince of Persia on DOS?
Games.
That really old one? Yeah. That game actually sucks.
Hey now.
It was such a pain in the ass to play.
That was my first Prince of Persia.
You had to be pixel perfect, like with everything you did in that game.
We're going to talk about that experience in a new game later.
Really?
Oh no, the last Prince of Persia was an app game. There was.
Oh
Prince
no,
of
before
Persia.
that doesn't count.
Yeah, apps.
Before that, it was Forgotten Sands. That was
I remember Forgotten Sands. What was that on?
360.
That was on 360, PS3, PC, Wii, Nintendo DS, and PSP. Prior to that, there was the Fallen King. Because there was the. But then they did remember the one in 2018 when they did the cell shaded one, the cell shaded style one, the like Prince. It was just called Prince of Persia. Again.
Yeah, 2018. Right? I thought this was recent. Yeah.
What?
No, that one was 2008.
Oh, my bad.
Oh yeah, 2018 was Prince of Persia.
Completely
Escape.
wrong.
That moves pretty fast, doesn't it, old man?
10 years passed. Oh my god.
Oh, it was 10 years ago. Oh well, never mind.
I feel like it was the
That's
original.
how I feel when
the
people
original
say
platformer.
GameCube is retro gaming. I'm like, what? That's brand new.
Yeah, Prince of Persia was like the original platformer in a way.
Yeah,
well, not original in terms of like Mario was the original platformer, but like original in terms of like the Tomb Raider exploration, right? Like I feel like that's one of the first games. I guess Pitfall.
It was so fun.
The thing I remember about it was how beautiful it was and how fluid all the animation was.
Yeah.
And how God-smackingly difficult it was. You had it was animation priority, so like you had to like line up pixel perfect to make it jump, but you had to like start lining up like 10 steps before the jump. It was a hard game.
That's how you got good.
Gotta get good.
I didn't get good.
Yeah.
But I just skipped that. But I'm not gonna get good.
I think it was
Go play some Mario instead.
I think it was the two. There's one called the Two Thrones. I can't remember if it was the Two Thrones or the Warrior Within, but there was one of them where, like, bear in mind, like Prince of Persia obviously always has like the wall running stuff, which is really cool, and you kind of need concentration anyway to be able to just get that right. But there was one of them. I think it was the Two Thrones, where they introduced there was like this kind of demonic thing that would chase you at times. So you then get to the point of the game where like you're being chased, and then you have to do the wall running super fast. You're like, you can't even stop to think. You're like, you better run because he's gonna catch you. That was so stressful.
Was Two Thrones like the really dark one that they made? Like I remember Sands of Time. Am I thinking that the right title? Sands of Time was kind of like the first of the reboots, and it was it was kind of like light and cheery, and then the second one was real dark and foreboding and emo.
Yeah, the second one was Warrior Within. That was the dark one. Yeah, and then there was Two Thrones.
Okay. Yeah.
And
But hey,
those were good games.
Back to Unreal 5.
Unreal
5.
And that's what we think about Unreal 5.
Well, I was gonna say, when do you think a game legitimately is gonna get released on that engine? What are we looking, 3 years, 4 years?
No, I would think that you're gonna see some smaller titles, like some downloadable stuff, pretty quick.
Well, it's not officially going to be out until next year.
Yeah, but like they release games based on the betas of previous engines, so I'm guessing they'll do that with this one too, and they'll be smaller, like indie stuff. And then for like a real AAA kind of like huge game, like what you're seeing there, I'm guessing it's going to be 2 or 3 years.
I think minimum 2 or 3 years.
They might start using like earlier anyway, and using like some of what it can do, but to get a game like looking that, because it's the same sort of thing with like Generations, right? Like they always begin, and like there's always kind of like a little kind of like obvious leap to begin with, which is with some of the kind of power they can do, but it's only really like mid towards the end of the generation that you really start seeing what they can get out of it. So I feel like it'll be early on there might be some passive stuff they're able to take advantage of, like some of like the loading stuff will be like, okay, that's cool, it might make it faster or something. But then like good like 3 or 4 years in, then it'll be like, whoa, this is like a Uncharted, Last of Us style breaking
God
visuals
of War.
kind of. God of War. Yeah. Oh, God of War.
I'm
PS5.
so excited. I am fully on the console train. I am a console gamer. Oh yeah,
hitching your ride.
I'm hitching my ride.
Tell them on PC. It's sorry, PC. You're done.
Yeah, sorry, it's over.
2020. The death
Unreal
of PC.
5 is a PS5 exclusive. That's what the internet told me.
That's what the internet said. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I want the Unreal 5 goodness, I have to be on PS5.
We should note that the Unreal Engine 5, I think it was probably like a paid some money exchanged hands to say this is running on a PS5. But that's gonna also be on, obviously the Xbox and the
I don't think so, bro.
Actually, I'll be in Nintendo Switch, but timed exclusive.
You know what I heard also? Unreal Engine 5 might even be on iOS.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's supposed to be
getting pretty powerful.
That's supposed to be a sick burn, Brian.
Oh,
yeah.
No, I mean, those phones are very powerful, right? At this point, they're far more powerful than the Xbox 360.
Yeah, no,
they might even be more powerful than the current generation of consoles at this point. I mean, those things are crazy fast.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, they obviously support multiple platforms with these engines. I mean, that's how they make their money. They're also doing a thing where for developers, they're not requiring. I don't want to misquote this, but I'm pretty sure they won't take a fee for the first $1 million in revenue.
I saw something about that.
Oh, that's interesting. So, like, indie devs won't be crippled by the fee to Epic.
So
but people, if they do, like, if their game blows up, then we need to kick money over.
Yeah, so some people might not be aware of this, but like Unreal Engine is technically free to download and check out and mess with. So if you're interested in game development and want to get into tinkering with an amazing game engine, you can go and download the Unreal Engine 4 right now and start playing with assets and start getting familiarized with the environment. In the past, they've required fees up to a certain amount, or they've required fees after you've crossed a certain amount of money, but they just bump that now in revenue to $1 million. So yeah, tons of indie developers will be able to make games and have an amazing engine.
Really good. That's so good. Gives people an opportunity to work with something really, really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But if it works out, then Epic gets their money. So good.
Yeah, exactly.
Or they could make their $1 million, and then they'll be like, now I'm going to pull the game off the store. Let me go make another game now. Cut their losses. I'm like, you're not getting a single penny.
Stop at 999.
That's exactly.
Yeah,
That's great. That's great financial advice, Eric. I like that.
I mean, hey,
this game's blow it up. No, you're starting a new game.
They're not getting their 5-10%.
Flawless. There are zero holes in my plan.
Yeah, that's really cool. Excited to see where it comes out. The Unreal Engine 5 officially will be available for people to download in 2021 sometime, and that's fancy. That's what that is. If you started in Unreal 4, you'll be able to port your stuff over. But if you're a developer, you already know that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, for us, like, obviously right now it doesn't mean a whole lot, but it just like seeing like kind of the future of what video games will look like in 3 to 5 years. It was pretty interesting to see. It was just gorgeous. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I mean, I think games look phenomenal now.
They do.
Like, they look outstanding, and to see them get better.
Exactly. Yeah, we're at a point. Great. We're at a point where it's not really like, are they going to look better? It's, are they going to perform better? Right?
Yeah.
Now we're looking for games that are seamless worlds and high frame rates, fluid motions, no like dipping in frame rates. Because if you ever play a game that has smooth animations and the frame rate stays consistent, you realize how often that doesn't happen.
Oh yeah, never.
It's crazy.
That's why that Assassin's Creed Valhalla news that it was running at 30 FPS was so disappointing. Like,
yes,
yeah, unless it's locked and really smooth, 30.
Yeah. I've been playing. I actually put like 30 hours into Odyssey over the last week, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, because I don't know, for some reason we started talking about it. Well, I know why we started talking about it last week, but I just decided to boot it back up and just immediately got absorbed back into it. And goddamn, that game is fun. Like, it is ridiculous.
How many people have you Spartan kicked?
Many people have been Spartan kicked. I mean, that's the best way to finish people off.
Incredible, right?
Yeah, especially if you're at height. Like if you're on a cliff or a mountain or a wall or basically anywhere where the person could fall. The only problem is that if you got to loot their body, it can be kind of a pain in the ass. Like you kicked them off a 200-foot cliff.
Damn.
All right, now I got to go find their body.
But it's the journey,
like that,
right?
Yeah, that game is. It's got its problems. Like it's a weird game that has 3 different endings. It's got like the character's ending. It's got the like kind of crazy animus ending, and then it's also got like you've got to kill all the bad guys ending, which is weird. And they're actually separated by like several hours of gameplay. Like like 10 to 20 hours of gameplay.
Yeah, it's a big game.
So it's a huge game. It's like I've got I think 60 or 70 hours in it, and I haven't done nearly everything.
Yeah,
but man, that game is awesome. I can't wait.
I feel like I completed it at the 60-hour mark, roughly around there.
Yeah, all 3 quests?
No, not all 3 quests. I didn't kill all the cultists.
Yeah. Killing the cultists is a lot of work.
Yeah, I was like, we're gonna be skipping that one. I did the animus one, where you go into the past and the future, whatever the crap.
That one is kind of a must do because it's just like.
But then there's like the end game stuff, right? You fight all those like crazy gods as well.
Yeah.
Yes. That's to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when you're kind of getting closer and closer, and then you go into this final thing that wraps it up. Not to spoil too much.
I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah.
And then there's been a ton of DLC released for it too, with like other quests. Some of them are like crazy, like make believe stuff, and some of them are like really like focusing in on the history of Greece. And there's even like a history mode that you can go into now.
Yeah.
It's like a guided tour of Greece. And I think the voiceover and stuff is by like archaeologists and like people who study this stuff, which is pretty interesting.
That is really cool.
Yeah, I haven't done it yet. I want to though.
Yeah, that's awesome stuff. Another big piece of juicy news from last week. Assassin's Creed Ninja Style. I mean, Ghosts of Tsushima.
Seriously.
Oh my god.
Doesn't this look like an Assassin's Creed game? Or, it looks like it plays like an Assassin's Creed game?
Yeah.
It's got like, so in terms of gameplay, I don't know what I was expecting, but for some reason I wasn't expecting this as gameplay. I think it's because in one of the trailers, it showed like the main character going up against another swordsman, and it looked like they were having this like standoff, which made me think more so of like Sekiro type gameplay than this. But this definitely is more like stealthing around, clearing encampments, kind of picking people off. And there is like a cool action sequence that happens when you get into certain battles. But yeah, definitely seems like it's closer to an Assassin's Creed type stuff.
Yeah, they released an 18-minute like kind of gameplay trailer, and like they show a lot, like a ton of different stuff. It looks like you can play in 2 different ways. You can play as a ghost, which is more like stealthy and using bows and sneaking around, or you can play as a samurai, which is more like I'm walking in through the front door and I'm fucking shit up.
Yes.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, so there's a lot of like scope for kind of customization, like how you want to play, because they said that like the ghost will sort of like reveal itself as you play throughout the campaign, but they're like you can sort of choose how you want to play. But yeah, it's interesting because as you said, like prior to this, we'd sort of seen like the cinematic trailer, we'd sort of seen the very carefully crafted trailers of like walking stuff, but like to actually see like a cohesive gameplay loop, like I'm super excited. Like it's been a while. Like I feel like it's been a while for me that I've been like this excited about a game, because I was obviously like looking forward to it anyway. But then to me, when I watched it, it was like Assassin's Creed in Japan meets Breath of the Wild. So that sense of like having a world where I just want to explore, because it's funny because I was kind of talking about this in like a video the other day, and I was like, I made the kind of Breath of the Wild comparisons, and people were like, oh, why didn't you make a comparison to like Red Dead? And I'm like, well, Red Dead to me's got a boring world. I don't care about that, but controversial. But
this game looks good.
So come on, man, like snake bites, bear traps.
How many times have I rescued them? But but it's definitely one of those things that like it's the nice and intriguing thing where like I feel like there's some games where when you do the open world, you just kind of just want to get on with the story. But this is one of those games where like I can tell I'm gonna want to go off the beaten track. I'm gonna want to find the shrines. I'm gonna want to find the secrets before I even do the main story stuff. But yeah, it looks fantastic. And the thing that I like the most about the gameplay is this game has probably got the best implementation of a waypoint system that I've seen.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially for an open world game.
Yeah, exactly right. So they have so anyone that didn't see it, they have like a thing called the guiding wind. So you basically set your waypoint on the map, and instead of having like an obvious arrow that's like you should go north, the wind just blows in the direction that you should be going, and it's obvious, but it's like it's still, but it blends in perfectly with the theme of the game. So it's it's really nice.
That's really smart.
Playing a lot of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the way they do it is they have this map that has so many icons on it that you can't find what you're looking for, and then you put a waypoint on the map, and then you press A to make your horse run along a road, and then you press Y so he runs toward your destination, and then you switch over to your YouTube and you watch YouTube until he gets there. This looked way really better than that.
It's good for encouraging people to go and explore, because you don't have this thing that's like, go here, this is where you're going. There's a big thing on the map. It's like, okay, well, the wind's going that way, but there might be a shrine over there. I'm going to go discover it. It just helps keep you engrossed in that world, because this game is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And then other things they had is like, if you see a fox, you can follow the fox to like a certain thing. Or if you see a bird, like a bird will indicate another thing. So like all this stuff, instead of being in like on maps or in menus, there's still a map, but like all this stuff is kind of in game and not in a UI or a menu somewhere, which is way more immersive and way cooler. If it works out, we still have to play it to see if all this stuff will work out.
Yeah.
And if the quests are fun and if the characters are interesting and all that stuff. But I mean, it was a good demo.
Yeah, the game is gorgeous. I can't get over how beautiful the game is.
Like
being able to just run around in a world like that is going to be so fun.
Yeah, the photo mode they showed was really interesting too, because you got this beautiful world, but then once you go in her photo mode, you can actually manipulate the world and have like fireflies. You can add fireflies or different wind modes or different things flowing through the air. Yeah, really cool. And you can play the game in black and white if you want to make it feel like an old Kurosawa movie. That's cool.
Yeah.
And you can play right from the get-go. You can play with Japanese voices only. So you can make up your own narration, which I think would be really fun.
Oh, dear.
That's great. Did we know it was going to be this open world before, or did the game?
No, I had no idea.
Okay, yeah.
We didn't really know what the game was, right? We just saw that it was visually beautiful, and we saw that it was about revenge in terms of a story plot, but we didn't really know how the game played at all.
I'm really surprised at how much of an open world it feels like, looking at the gameplay. Yeah.
It feels like it looks like an Assassin's Creed game. With different,
it does.
Even the action buttons seem similar. Like you can ride by like a bamboo tree and just like quickly tap a button to loot it, and you now have bamboo sticks to make arrows with or whatever.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, it looks like the recent Assassin's Creed. The combat looks a little different. Some of the combat looks almost like Bushido Blade for the original PlayStation, where it's like one-hit kills and stuff.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
Looked dope.
Well, when they first showed it back in the previous E3s, I was expecting something like you were saying. It was closer to Sekiro, like this level-based or progression level-based type of scenario where you take on stronger and stronger enemies. But it's interesting that it's so Assassin's Creed influenced.
Yeah.
Yeah, my one thing was from the demo, I was wondering whether, you never really kind of get the feeling until you play it yourself, but in the combat situation, it kind of had that thing that was reminiscent of Assassin's Creed, where you get into the middle of a crowd of enemies, and then you very quickly dispatch them, if you get the timing just right. And I'm hoping that, obviously they played the game, they want to make the demo look good, so they're obviously going to finish them quickly. But I'm hoping there is a noticeable difficulty curve, because in that situation it was very much get your parry timing, he's open, slice him, he's dead, and it's oh, okay, these guys are going down pretty easily. So I'm hoping there's a decent challenge to it as it kind of goes out, because combat looked pretty easy for what they showed. But again, it's a demo. They probably had God mode on and things like that, so it's not really indicative of how it'll be. But
maybe there's a true samurai mode where you get one hit killed and you kill everything in one hit.
Yeah,
that'd be amazing.
And then there's upgrade systems as well. They showed these kind of tokens that you could pick up, and they could change the way you play, you change your abilities and stuff. It looks dope, man.
It looks great.
The current Assassin's Creed games, I feel pull a lot from The Witcher 3, which is a good place to pull from. And this pulls some of the best stuff out of that, like that lineage is clear here. But also they've got obviously the brand new stuff to it. It's less looking at a map, more just following the wind, following the environmental cues around you. That's really an interesting way of doing waypoints as opposed to like drawing a line on a road in the middle of this like ancient place.
Yeah, everything about the whole like UI design, every element of the UI is really sort of minimal. So I think they really want to like focus on just trying to keep your attention on how nice the game looks and try not to distract you too much. So I like that. Yeah. Appreciate that.
Well, this is a must buy as far as I'm concerned. I can't wait to pick this up.
And it's coming out in the summer, July, like mid-July.
Perfect
time.
I feel like it's like, obviously we haven't played it yet, but just from like that 18-minute demo, like like some games you'll sort of see demos before and you're like, I need to kind of play it. Like I feel like I know I'm gonna like that. And if the game plays like that for the whole thing, I feel like it could even be like a game of the year contender potentially. So
definitely,
it's gonna be a fun game of the year this year. I feel like there's so many amazing games, like really, really good games this year.
Cyberpunk.
Yep.
September.
Yeah. Paper Mario.
Mario, right. Like out of the blue, right?
Announced this week as well.
Yeah, I almost forgot about that. That was really an interesting thing. There were rumors that we were going to get a bunch of core Mario releases or stuff this year. And Paper Mario, man, that's a franchise we haven't heard from in a while.
Yeah, it's been quite a while, and some of the more recent Paper Marios haven't really been as well received because it went away from the kind of turn-based thing. It went to kind of real time, and people didn't necessarily like those ones as much. But this one appears to be going back to the roots. So you got like a turn-based system with it. Lots of kind of like traditional flair and whatnot, and it's about like origami, which is cool. So and it comes out in July. So July is like Ghost and Paper Mario.
Nice, Samurai Mario.
There we go.
Oh, hell yeah. Samurai hat for my Mario. I'm gonna start cutting them Goombas.
Just one slice, they cut in half.
One weird graphical thing about that Tsushima demo that I didn't love was the blood splatter looked weird to me. Like it wasn't necessarily the blood splatter leaving the body, but the way it like splashed on people's faces and stuff. I don't know if that's gonna look the same in the game because it always looked black in the demo. So I wonder if it, if that was just like a toned down version, but it looked weird.
I'll have to go back and look at it. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know how much I'm gonna love the gameplay, but I love the world. So hopefully the gameplay is super fun to go through because the world is definitely really exciting to me.
Well, I hope the world is actually interesting.
And not just open and empty.
Yeah. Like even
if it's filled, like it can still be boring. Like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I feel like has a lot of boring shit in it.
Interesting. So for me, I felt like Origin had more boring open world stuff, whereas Odyssey, I felt like they filled it out in a way where the side quests and things you discovered were a lot more crafted and interesting. That was the takeaway I had from that.
In Odyssey, I feel like they tried to do interesting stories, but they didn't always pull it off. So I felt like a lot of the lines from like you'd get a side quest or you'd go to a place for a side quest and you'd see the first couple of lines and then I'd bebop my way through the rest of it because I didn't care. Like I need the experience from this because, oh God, you need so much experience in that game.
That's right. I forgot about that. The leveling.
Leveling was fucked in that game.
Oh man.
Anyhow, you guys have been playing Nioh. I want to hear about
That's right
too.
Which actually it's relevant because the DLC was announced very recently.
Yeah.
The DLC for Nioh 2 is coming out July 30th. So that's going to be exciting. It's called The Tengu's Disciple. So it's got a new storyline, new yokai, more bosses to beat, and extra pieces of armors to equip.
Tengu the bird yokai?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's some bitch.
You're going to fight a penguin?
Hey, he's just a really annoying bird demon.
Yeah, he's pretty annoying.
Yeah.
But yeah, me and Tefty have been playing through Nioh 2. We're basically in the exact same spot as each other.
Yeah.
Which has been really cool.
Yeah.
So Nioh like kind of got the rap as being like a Souls type game. Is Nioh 2 kind of continue on that trend?
I mean, there's obviously elements of Souls stuff in there, but it's definitely its own thing. It's Ninja Gaiden meets Souls. Like it's very difficult in a lot of aspects, and there's leveling and progression, and a lot of the enemies will just kick your ass immediately, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right,
yeah, through the entire game. There's you might find one enemy that just always has your number, and you're like, dear God. So every enemy you're coming across is a threat that you have to approach in its own kind of unique way of fighting them. So it definitely has the difficulty that you would expect from a Soulsborne type game. It's got like the way that you fight bosses, that's got the health bar there, and it's a one-on-one. So that's definitely
stamina bars.
The experience, right? Exactly. So if you played Souls games, you would see a lot of stuff in here that you've seen before. Yeah. But Nioh,
so like the levels, like separated levels with a hub world, or is it? It's not like a open. Continuous world, I guess.
No, there's like a starting map, and then you can choose missions to go to from that starting map.
Yeah. So, it goes into like these regions. So you start with like the chapter 1 region of a map, and there's various levels, and you're going through, like, it's sharing story information, what's happening. Then you proceed to the next region, and so that's a whole new map. Then another region, so on. And these usually like 3 or 4 main missions, sometimes 2 main missions, but like there'll be some side missions as well. The main missions have felt really good in terms of progression, because one of the problems I had with Nioh 1 was that the level design and the placement of just how it was constructed felt less interesting, or just generic. Whereas I think they realized that criticism and then took inspiration from how Souls games are, how there's like unlocks and various progression points where you can suddenly now go this different direction and be able to get to an area quicker. They took inspiration from that and made these levels in Nioh 2 significantly better, in my opinion, significantly better than Nioh 1's levels.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. The levels are interesting in like that you can walk around the level and you are interested in it. There's no point where it's like, oh, this looks kind of boring and bland. And there's always that point that you're hitting, like there's a shrine or there's a shortcut, and the beats that hits in the level design it feels placed perfectly. Like I always feel like I'm progressing through, I'm unlocking something. I'm not just running around feeling stuck in a circle or something. It feels like I'm always pushing forward, which is it's good. The map design is good.
One of the things that's amazing about Nioh 2 also is the weapons sandbox is massive, and the skill trees, like each weapon has a big skill tree that can definitely overwhelm you. So how many weapons are there? So I think it's like 14 or more or something.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, there's a lot of weapons.
There's a lot.
Each one of those
play completely different.
Yeah, exactly. Each have their own combos, right? Their counter methods, their block timing type of things, and like they all have skill trees associated with them. So the more you use a particular weapon, the more you unlock skill points to be able to put into that skill tree. So as you can imagine, there's just massive content. Like I've been focusing on the switchglaive because it's fun and you feel badass with it. It also feels kind of soulsy. But Watts, what have you been using?
I've been using hatchets. And hatchets are really interesting. Yeah, it's you're wielding 2 axes, basically running around like a crazy person. And this is a new one for Nioh 2, I believe. And I wasn't initially. I was like, I don't really know if the fantasy of being a hatchet wielding person really interests me. But as soon as I picked it up, I was like, this feels really fun because you can throw them. So each stance has a different way of throwing the axes. And then you also have super fast movement. You have slower movement. So there's kind of multiple different builds that you can do with hatchets. One that's based on just throwing them in, high stance, the most damaging stances. And then others that are more about being really fast and mobile. So I've been thoroughly enjoying hatchets.
Nice.
They're great.
Well, I think that's the thing in this is that you can pick up a particular weapon and be like, this is my weapon. I'm using this. It's a lot like Monster Hunter where you feel like, okay, I want to just use this weapon because you like its skill set.
Right? Yep. In Nioh 1, I always went with the Kusarigama because they were just because they were so fast. Yeah. Even though they didn't necessarily attack as much, I felt like I could get a lot of attacks in. But when I was playing Nioh 2, like I hadn't played it for such a long time, so I came back and I just forgot how unforgiving the game is. Like, I know it's these kind of games, but like at least I felt like when I jump into like Soulsborne games, like they're still unforgiving because obviously that's what they're supposed to be. But I almost feel like the curve to just getting back into the flow isn't quite as as like abrupt. Whereas I went into Nioh 2, and for anyone that hasn't played it, obviously you have your regular trash mobs which go down very quickly. You obviously have your big bosses, but then you have your in-between things, which are like the yokai that appear from these little like mystical fields, which are like mini bosses themselves. And like, obviously, once you start to get used to them, they're fine. But when I went back into Nioh 2, and I was trying to record my gameplay part 1, and I was like, this is why am I dying to this thing like literally 10 times in a row? Like, what the hell? So then
to be fair, the beginning of Nioh 2 is like, here is a baby to beat up. Here's a boss. Like that is the beginning. That is the beginning level. Is one, you see one enemy, you kill it, you go through a door. Here's a boss. Good luck.
Yeah.
Damn, that's
what made
rough.
me change my weapon, I went into it and I was using some of the new weapons as well. But then in the end, I was like, you know what? Right, this is I adopted the whole Monster Hunter Greatsword strategy. I switched to I forgot what it's called, the giant katana, basically the giant sword.
The Odachi.
Yeah, that's it, the Odachi. Yeah, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to use this. I'm going to go heavy stance. I'm going to hit once. I'm going to roll. I'm going to run away. And that's how I played the rest of it. I was like, every single boss, I just go in, I go, slam, roll, get out the way, slam. And I was like, you know what? It works for me. I'm fine. And I just basically started specking down the Odachi route. Yeah.
Nice. So the bosses have been great. Like beautiful designs, all that stuff. Like it's a great looking game too. You played in action modes, 60 FPS, right?
It's 60 FPS and it holds it really consistently. Like it is just a smooth, beautiful experience.
Yeah.
This is only on PlayStation?
Yeah. Only on PlayStation right now. It might be on PC in a year or something because that's what they did with Nioh 1. I don't know. I haven't really looked at that because at that time I won't be playing it on PC.
Have you guys both played Nioh 1?
I played Nioh 1, yeah. Mm-hmm. Finished it too, yeah.
Would you say that, like, if you were new to the franchise, should I play Nioh 1 first or Nioh 2 first or skip Nioh 1 or what should I do?
Yeah, what's your thoughts on that, Watts?
So I personally will say that I like Nioh 2 significantly more than the first one. I don't know if it's because of the fantasy of you can create your own character. So the character customization is extensive and you're half demon and the setting, like all of it entices me much, much, much more. It is also a prequel to Nioh 1. So I don't think it's 100% necessary to play the first one, but you're definitely going to get some story stuff that you miss out on if you don't play the first one.
Yeah, if you're diehard for the story, you're going to want to play the first one first and then play the second one because there'll be some things that connect. If you're on the peripheral when it comes to the story, then Nioh 2, 100%. It is a better game, straight up.
It is. Yeah.
It's a better game. I do have criticisms though. And
here comes the thing.
No, okay. So I thought about this because I was like, I'm getting some fatigue and I'm like 70% through the story. And at this point, like there's a lot of fatigue setting in. And I wanted to like figure out what's going on with this. And so all the positives that we've said so far, they're absolutely true. Like the game has very fluid combat. It looks great. All these things. It's a beautifully done game. However, the pacing of the combat and the distinction between a Souls game and this game is that in a Souls game, after you've leveled up to a certain point, you can actually return to other areas and be like, man, I'm just clocking these bitches, just boom, boom, boom. They're so dead because I've been powering up. In Nioh 2, as you get higher and higher, you're still seeing the majority of the same enemies. All right. And on where I'm at right now, 70% through the story at level like 100 or some crap like that, everything still either 2-shot or 3-shots me from trash bombs. Everything. Like,
yeah, the little spear guys so you can take down.
They'll 2-shot you.
We'll 2-shot you.
They'll 2-shot you. They go like, blah,
and then reaction. I saw in Nioh 1 a gameplay where somebody grinded for a specific axe and was then so powerful that he just brutalized his way through the game. I wonder if that's some kind of reaction to that.
Well, okay, so if you go New Game Plus, so if you go through the full game and then go New Game Plus and actually grind and like do a specific build, you can actually destroy everything easily, bosses and all that. So there is the flip side to that. But in the first uptake of the game, of going through the stories and stuff, I'm experiencing a lot of fatigue from it because every enemy, like it, so all the demons, Every hit is at least 50% of your health, if not like 70%, 75%. And every single one of them have a cheap grab that reduce your health like off of 75% of your health. So if you're kind of weak already, you're an instant kill right there. And that it doesn't let up. It's always the same thing happening right there. And you see some of the same.
It is very intense.
Yeah. And you see the same enemies most of the time, same demons. And you're like, okay, this guy again. And while I have had a great time playing the game, I'm to the point now where I'm like grumbling every time I see the same yokai demons, where I'm like, this guy's going to punch me and I'm going to lose 80% of my health. Yay.
I think it doesn't help that kind of in the midpoint of the game, the bosses are, wowzer. So the bosses are a bit of a wowzer.
So this is my other criticism. While the bosses are beautifully designed, the majority of them are a spam fest. And like, that's their design, is that they're a spam fest to try to reduce your stamina or from blocking, or try to make you dodge and overwhelm you. And some of them you can just spam back and overwhelm and all that. But like, I feel like when I play a Souls game, there's like this specific identity to the combat of each boss that I end up playing that has this thing going on where I'm not seeing that in these fights. They're basically like, again, lots of spam, lots of gotchas, lots of cheap grabs, and that over and over and over with this stuff.
That's the one thing that I think. I mean, obviously, I haven't got as far as you, but like, that's one thing that, like, even with Nioh 1 to a degree, is well, I mean, I still like them, still like fantastic games, but at least I always found, and I mean, depending on whether you like these games, you may agree or not, but like, for anyone that plays like Soulsborne style games, like, I always feel like if you die in a Soulsborne game, as much as it might frustrate you at the time, you can take a step back and be like, I messed up there. Like, the game is not being cheap. I messed up, right? Yeah. There are times when I play Nioh and I die, and I'm just like, yeah, maybe I messed up slightly, but that's hella cheap. I'm just like, that. I feel like in a game like this, you want to have that balance where you want to know that, okay, the only reason I died is because I was being greedy. I messed up, like, not because the game has got some cheap ass mechanic that's artificially inflating the difficulty.
Yep.
That's definitely what some of the stuff for Nioh I think I got.
That's exactly what I'm experiencing right now, and it's fatiguing my enjoyment of the gameplay. Is that I feel like there's a lot of artificial difficulty being inflated with some of those grabs are just straight up cheap. Just like, oh, here we go, 360 grab anywhere. Like, you know, you shouldn't have been next to the boss. Sorry, you were doing damage. You know, it's like, or just luck, pure RNG that they either are going to do that right away or not at all throughout the whole fight.
That's one thing that I found with one of the more difficult bosses in the game. Sometimes he'd open up with a grab, which was very easy to block, to get out of the way of,
to dodge in.
And yeah, like he would run into a wall. You have a really quite an extensive amount of time to do good damage to him, put status effects on him. And sometimes he'll just open up with just spinning in a circle and he'll like two-shot me. So it did, some of the fights did feel a little bit like it's RNG as to what they do as to how my run goes.
Yeah.
Not necessarily me controlling them.
Yeah. And on the flip side, like you were saying, Eric, when it comes to certain Souls bosses, like, yeah, there can be some like, oh my God, that's BS type of moments. But for the most part, you can pick out why you died or why you were why you failed an encounter, because there's like a method to it that you can understand. And a lot of the times in these fights, like I said, their go-to is overwhelm you with spam hits. In some of the hitboxes, I've been complaining about the hitboxes, but like some of them will straight up hit you, and you're like, you were, you know, that your axe was far from it.
That's frustrating.
You know, that happens in Souls too. So I'm used to BS hitboxes. Like that's par for the course in these type of games. But still, the fact that it's like overwhelm you with spam, reduce your stamina bar, and then hit you with a BS grab that kills all your health. You know.
I feel like almost part of the reason they did that more in this one is also because they obviously introduced that new thing where you got like that special like yokai counter dodge thing. So it's almost like they were like, okay, the one way you can get out of this BS grab thing is if you perfectly time this. And then when you start doing that, because it's like one of the bosses like super early on, not even like literally, but I think like first or second boss you fight, the horse head guy with like a sword. Like it's just that. He's like super like not in the grand scheme of things, probably quite an easy boss, but the first few times I fought him, like I was just trying to sort of like learn his patterns, and like I died so many times back to back because he was just grabbing me and doing stupid stuff. And then afterwards, I was like, when I was like, you know what, I'm just going to ignore his BS stuff. I'm just going to use this new yokai counter. And then I just literally went into like the yokai form, overwhelmed and spammed him. And I'd spent half an hour trying to fight him and constantly dying. And then I killed him in 30 seconds. I'm like, okay, this is, I see how I'm supposed to play this game now. It's just like aggression.
It's also, so with Nioh that I think is kind of different from if you're coming from Soulsborne games, especially the most recent one being Sekiro, is you can farm for as long as you want and get really powerful, get a bunch of skill points, unlock more abilities, and create a build that is cheesy. Like you can cheese the bosses. So I think that it's almost like there's cheesy bosses, but you can also cheese. So it's just about finding builds that allow you to cheese the specific boss.
So that's interesting because normally in Souls games, you'd be back at your bonfire and then you could go to various areas that you're familiar with to do some farming or whatever. And that's kind of one of the things that like I don't really feel in this game either, because you're in this level and you don't want to leave the level because you're going to lose your progress.
Yeah.
Right? So you'd have to backtrack.
Yeah, whereas you're like, you if you really wanted to farm, or you're like, I'm having a really bad time, I want to farm up to the point where you want to go back to the main map and do side missions, you'd have to redo that level all over again and get to the boss.
Exactly.
So it makes it a bit more difficult.
And
that's a big problem.
Well, you already cleared it, and it's kind of annoying. Where, like, I guess what I'm saying is that the leveling system feels a little contradictory towards what's on the menu for how the game is progressing level-wise. I'm sorry, the leveling system, the RPG aspect is contradictory to the actual levels, the way the level progress happens as you go through the different lands. That's what I'm saying. It's like that doesn't really connect for me, and that's why I'm going in and I'm getting two-shot by basic ads, and I'm like, there's only so much of that before I'm like, maybe I'm just not gonna do that anymore. You know, maybe I'm gonna shelve this for a while. You know what I mean?
I've been loving this game though. There hasn't been any point where I've gotten fatigued or like I don't want to play. But again, every weapon is so different and every build is so different that everyone's experience is going to be so different.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
I have like 5 long range attacks if you count my like hand cannon and rifle. So me approaching certain things is very different. I can drop a regular ad without using any of my ammo before they even get near me.
Yeah.
So it's a very different experience.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, most of the ads I end up just wiping. You know, it's just that like in certain situations you get in a fight with a yokai and it's suddenly a cannon guy is like, oh, hello there. There's half your health and swipe there. The yokai just killed you. Or you didn't realize a guy with a spear is down on the side and he's running at you while you're fighting this other guy and then stabs you. You know, like, I don't know. I am definitely at this point in the game, I feel less inclined to finish it with the way I've been feeling because it's the combat.
How many hours do you think you have left with the 70% through?
10, 15 maybe. I don't know. 20
it's
hours
maybe.
Say,
I think we're like 40 hours in or something like that.
Yeah, something like that, right?
Yeah. It's a long game. So yeah, I think it could be 15, 20 hours remaining.
Yeah, it could be 15, 20. And again, it's been awesome, but with the amount of like spam and BS hits and like, again, the fact that my progression doesn't really seem like I'm progressing when it comes to these enemies. I see the same enemy and they're like basically killing me almost every time. I'm like, and I personally, I don't want to go through the same level and farm it. I actually think that's boring. Go kill the same enemies to farm to get a few more levels up. So, yeah. Nioh 2. Patience is a virtue.
Nioh 2. It's
Bring
a
your patience.
Game. In lots of ways, it's you will find that it's more difficult than Souls games, but then when you figure out that it's not a Souls game and you have to approach it like Nioh 2, it's a little easier.
Yeah.
But the thing I will say, the thing that I really do enjoy about this game is that in the beginning you have nothing and it's just you versus boss. You don't really know where you're going to go with your hatchets. You don't know what abilities you're going to use. And then as you progress through the game kind of shows you what playstyle you want to use or what you want to level up. And you start becoming this like complete different thing you didn't think you were going to end up being, which is really cool. Because at the beginning, there's no build. I just like this weapon, feels cool. And then you start progressing and getting a build down. And
there's a ton of progression.
I really like that.
What is your build specifically right now?
I'm currently a water magic hatchet thrower. So focused on water and then mixing elements to get the what's it called? Confusion element.
So
where you mix like water and fire. It makes them take more stamina damage, I believe.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Yeah.
But yeah, just because every weapon you have, it gets better based on certain stats. So the hatchets, and I think the switchglaive as well, it gets better with magic.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I guess I'll use magic, seeing as I have magic for my hatchets. So I was doing water, focused on water at the moment.
Nice. Yeah, there's all those elements too. I mean, poison, electricity, fire, water, paralysis. Like there's all those things you can pick up a weapon that has fire built into it. It's imbued with fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also a whole weapon system. What's the awaken a weapon? I don't even know how that works.
There's a whole section of the game that I am paying not much attention to, which is in like the blacksmithing, the tea house. Dear Lord, open up the tea house. I was like, this is a different game. I'll think about this later.
That's how I felt about it. Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. Blacksmithing is pretty extensive, but you can get smithing techs in the world. So you get basically a Animal Crossing recipe for you to take to the blacksmith to be able to make certain things. So you can farm for those recipes and go and take them to the blacksmith and create stuff. And you can temper with things. So you can say you have a piece of armor that you like, but you don't like the abilities on it. You can switch those out. It's very expensive though, which is where farming comes in.
Yeah. And also why you probably want to do it in New Game Plus.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, Nioh 2.
Real quick, I want to talk about Street Fighter V Champion Edition. That came out in February.
Nice.
And so this is the third release in the Street Fighter V kind of series that came out. I think Street Fighter V came out in 2016 originally, and it's not real critically well received because it was just a kind of pared down version of a Street Fighter game with not many modes and not much going on, and I guess the online wasn't great. This latest version is the Champion Edition, and it has all the DLC from all the previous seasons and all the costumes and just, a ton of features. I think there's 40 characters in the game now, which is a lot of characters. And I've been playing a lot of Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter 2 Alpha or Street Fighter Alpha on the Mister, the arcade versions of those. So I just kind of figured I'd like to see, because I love those games. They're some of my favorite games ever made in the Street Fighter series. So I just kind of figured I'll check out Street Fighter 5. It's only $30 for this newest edition. And I gotta say, it's pretty fun. There's a ton of different stuff to do in the game. There's an arcade mode for each game in the Street Fighter series that gives you slightly different kind of endings for all the characters, which is kind of fun. So you'd get the appropriate ending for Ken if you play the Street Fighter arcade mode or the Street Fighter 2 arcade mode or the Street Fighter 3 arcade mode. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of get a progression. They're not really detailed. They're kind of they're just kind of single frame matte paintings and then a little bit of words, but it's kind of cool. There's also a story mode for each character. Again, it's not super detailed, but it's kind of fun. It's something to do. Then there's a bunch of online modes. There's a regular kind of a casual mode. I can't remember what it's called. Then there's a competitive mode where you're actually ranked mode, where you can build up your points to get higher and higher ranks. And then there's a kind of this casual lobby where you can just invite your friends and all it's kind of putting quarters on the machine and waiting in line. Nice. I got next kind of thing where you got a bunch of people in a lobby and you can watch the people play who are playing while you wait for your turn to kind of get get in the game, which is kind of a fun way to play. The game plays and feels great. I'm playing on the PC. I think I'm going to buy the PS4 version as well, because I think I'd like to play it on downstairs as well. But it plays really well. It still feels like a Street Fighter game, but obviously it's it's new for it's been 30 years since the first Street Fighter came out. So it's all polygonal and it looks really good. It doesn't look like fantastic. I wouldn't say it's as good looking as something like the most recent Mortal Kombat games. And it definitely is missing that story mode that makes the Mortal Kombat games so much fun to play now. Like, even if you're not into fighters, the Mortal Kombat games are fun to play now, right? Because the story modes are so crazy and it's just kind of cool to go through them. It'd be awesome to see Street Fighter get something like that. But I mean, there's a ton of customizability for your characters. You could really customize how you play the game as well with the different modes. Like, you can select like what your super is going to be and what your kind of V modes are supposed to be. It's a good game, and it's only $30. I was pretty impressed for a game that didn't get well reviewed. Getting the championship edition of this game for $30, it feels like you're getting a lot of content. And I've been playing online quite a bit actually, and some of the connections aren't great, but for the most part, you can select how good a connection you're willing to accept. And if you just kind of narrow it down to like the best connections only, I found that they're pretty good, and it feels not bad to play Street Fighter online.
Nice.
I'm still gonna play mostly Street Fighter 2 in Alpha though.
On your Mister.
Yeah, I really like playing with my Mister.
How much time
It's a good game.
How much time have you put in your Mister so far?
Oh my god, I wish there was a counter. I play it all the time. Like, I really love playing with my Mister. It's fun as hell.
I mean, you practically sold me on one, but I don't know if I can commit to getting a CRT TV.
Oh, you don't have to get a CRT. It plugs it to HDMI.
Yeah, but the true experience, right?
The true experience.
Yeah. I mean, you can also put scan lines on it, but the thing with the Mister, actually, the Mister actually just got a new core for the TurboGrafx 16 CD. So I'm actually, as we speak, downloading a bunch of games for that. The problem with the CD-based games is each game is like 500 megabytes. So it's like, these are big boy downloads at this point.
500 meg?
Yeah, because you're getting off like some website. 500
megs,
a
shady website. Okay.
Yeah, well, my uncle, my uncle who gave me his entire video game collection of every game ever made, he was nice enough to put it up on a Google Drive for me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But yeah, that core is real good. One of the best Castlevania games that ever was made was only available on the PC Engine CD. I think it came out in like the early 90s, and it was just not available in America for years and years and years. And now you get like a perfect version of it.
Wow. I would like to play that.
Yeah, Rondo of Blood. It's called. It's the prequel to, what was the PlayStation 1 game? Symphony of Night.
Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's so good.
Nice.
Anyhow, Street Fighter 5, super good. I'm really enjoying it. It's kind of at a discounted price, and it's got a ton of extra features in it that weren't there when the game was originally reviewed. So don't let the reviews fool you. This is actually a pretty cool version of Street Fighter.
Nice.
Awesome.
So what games are we looking at now over the next month?
Last of Us.
Last of Us.
Last of Us. Yep.
Yeah, Last of Us June. Ghosts of Tsushima in July. Mario in July.
Let's just look into June. Is there anything other than Last of Us 2?
Yes, I have a list here. 1 second. Video game releases. Here we go. Where are we at? Let me go and fast forward to June. So where are we at? We have what's worth talking about? Outer Worlds coming out to Switch. There's a YS game. Burnout Paradise remastered on Switch. Last of Us Part 2.
I'll buy that. Did I get a physical copy? I'll buy Burnout for Switch. That'd be fun as hell.
think so, yeah. There's honestly not a great deal. Like, there's a lot of just random titles like Hunting Simulator, Phantom Covert Ops, Almost Gone, Fairy Tale,
Last of Us,
but not actually. Yeah. I mean, it's quite. I think
a
lot of people have just cleared out for it. Oh, and tomorrow is what do you call it? Golf with Friends on Switch. If you like some fun.
That sounds awesome on the Switch.
Yeah. I mean, it's already out on PC, but it's out on Switch.
When does Minecraft Dungeons
is that the one that we played? Did we play that one?
Oh, Minecraft Dungeons is next week. That's it.
Is that next week?
Yes. That's next week. That is May the 26th.
May 26th, Minecraft Dungeons.
Definitely gonna try that out.
That looks fun.
That was not on this list. This list is rubbish. Let me get the better list.
Well, that was June, right?
Yeah, but they didn't have this. Here we go. This is the more reliable list. This is the one. Do
I need an RTX 2080 Ti for this game?
Yes.
100%.
You got it. Hey,
the only reason I say yes is because I'm convinced that if you buy a 2080 Ti, the 3080 Ti is coming out this year.
Not doing it, man. I'm not doing it.
And I really want a 3080. I want Cyberpunk in 120 FPS on 4K.
No, you want to play it in 30 FPS cinematic mode.
Oh, the true mode, right?
That'd be 24 FPS.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah, there's a $20 regular edition and a $30 hero edition of Minecraft Dungeons.
Ooh.
And you basically get some cosmetics. Oh, you also includes 2 upcoming DLC packs. Now, are they going to be Minecraft DLC packs where it's like your sheep looks like a woolly mammoth or something? Or is it going to be actual new level content?
Like new levels, new loot and stuff?
Yeah, right?
Hopefully that one. If they're going in on this whole dungeon thing, hopefully the latter.
It looks really cool.
It does look
cool.
My
kids used to play so much goddamn Minecraft. It was like the only game they played, and they played it for hours on end all the time.
And now you can thank Fortnite.
Now one of them's playing Destiny.
Oh, Destiny.
So he's moved down in the world.
There are more things in June. There's a couple more things in June that were not on this other list.
What's
that?
Command & Conquer Remastered Collection.
Right.
On June 5th.
Okay. Awesome. What's that exactly?
When is
that's
that?
Interesting.
What is it? It's the remaster of the original. Was it the original Command & Conquer, or was it Command & Conquer 2? One of those ones. But so kind of it's just basically the king of the RTS just coming back and giving us a chance to play that, and all the old school maps have been vamped up and stuff. It looks pretty cool.
Does it have new HD graphics, or is it just the old game running on? Yeah.
No. Yeah, they redid all the sprites and stuff. I mean, obviously, it's not like.
Did they keep the old cutscenes, the real video cutscenes?
I don't know. I hope so. I sincerely hope so. There's also Wonderful 101 end of June.
Right.
If you backed it on Kickstarter, then you should have already got your code, or the physical versions have been delayed a little bit. But so the codes are going out for that one, and that's pretty much it. Oh, apparently this game called Destiny 2 has a season 11 on June 9th.
Season
11. There you go. Season 11.
Farming simulator on the middle of June as well.
Farming.
One of my kids.
Yeah.
That's a toughy game right there.
I wouldn't mind farming up some gluten since I can't have it.
One of my kids, they're shutting down. Have you guys heard of Maple Story?
Yeah.
The game.
Mm-hmm.
So they're shutting that down apparently. I guess
no.
I didn't know they were shutting it down.
The developers contacted one of my kids on Discord, and they're sending him a bunch of shit because he was so loyal to the game.
Wow.
Oh, that's
Isn't that cool?
I
thought that was amazing.
Cool. Yeah, that is really cool.
Also, I took away his computer because obviously he's playing too many video games.
Oh man.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Isn't that neat?
Awesome. Well, is that SideQuest? Is that the episode?
I believe
think
so.
it is. SideQuest complete.
Ding.
Finger guns.
This fires imaginary bell because
the real bell doesn't work anymore.
It doesn't move.
Wow, that is amazing.
Does hear nothing. It's ridiculous.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, guys. That's episode 49 of SideQuest.
Pop rockets.
Yeah, Pop Rocks, the episode. Pop Rocks. If you want to find more of me, you can talk to me at Teft on Twitter and catch my streams, twitch.tv/TeftyTeft. I may or may not be playing Nioh. We'll see.
Ooh.
I have to look within my patience meter and decide if I'm gonna be patient enough to deal with the BS.
Maybe you just need like a couple of days off, like a game refresher, like a
Animal Crossing.
Nioh.
Yeah.
I need a Nioh vacation.
Yeah, take a little bit of a vacation.
Might be permanent. Who knows? We will see. Briar, where can people find you?
You can find me. Just look for at the Briar Rabbit on Twitter. You can talk to me there. Or I didn't think anything fun to do. Run around with my mister.
Always just default to Mr. Diddlin.
Yeah, Mr. Diddlin.
I am Miss 5000 Watts. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube at Miss 5000 Watts. I'll be playing Nioh 2 today because the lie is broken. It is a lie. So hopefully that will be fixed tomorrow so we can go and get our shotgun. But yeah, we'll be playing some Nioh 2 later.
Nice. And I'm Arix. You can find me over on Twitter at Arix or YouTube at Scuf Gaming. And then this week, I don't know, it's a kind of quiet week this week, so don't know what we're doing. Probably more Animal Crossing. I'm remaking my island still, so I'm digging everything up. I've started all over. I haven't started again.
From scratch?
Well, yeah, I dismantled the entire island, and I'm doing it one square at a time. So
you demoed the whole island?
Yep, I had my perfect 5-star island, and I had to one square at a time go through and dig up all the trees, destroy all the walls. It took me about 7 or 8 hours to dismantle my island, so I can then rebuild it.
Damn, quarantine's been rough.
Are you going with a new theme? You switching it up?
I am, yeah. I haven't quite decided what it is, but I want a blank canvas. I want completely flat land, so I'm flattening everything so I can build from there. Yeah, quarantine's made me crazy.
Eric's is going with the clear cut.
Oh man, that's great. All right, is that everyone?
Yeah,
that is everyone.
What about Predator?
Predator, where can people find you? He's not on the screen right now. I think he's hiding off in the corner.
He's hiding.
Shout out to
Predator, doing Predator things.
He's doing Predator things, exactly. Shout out to all of our Twitch subs and our Patreon members. We really appreciate the support on the show, guys. You keep the show running and allows us.
Shout out to Sparty for going into the pre-show, keeping me company.
Shout out to Sparty. Thanks for the support, guys. Whether or not you're watching live or on YouTube or on Spotify or all the podcast places, we'll see you next week for another SideQuest and DCP Live this coming Thursday. Bye, everyone.
Thanks so much, everybody. Bye.
Adios.